Have you ever tried to capture the transparency and reflections of glass and water in your watercolour paintings? In today's video, I'm going to share my top tips and techniques for painting realistic glass and water effects. Take a look at this painting. I've tried to make the glass bowl and water appear lifelike and vibrant. I'll be demonstrating exactly how I achieved these effects. It's winter here and our camellias are in full bloom. While I was photographing them the other day, I remembered that my nanna used to collect fallen camellias and she'd float them in some water in a large crystal dish. I don't have a large crystal dish, but I do have some small glass dessert bowls. So I grabbed one of the glass bowls, put some water in it, and floated a camellia in the water. And I thought, I'm going to paint that in my nana's memory. I knew I wanted to work from a photograph because I wasn't sure how long it would take me to paint it. So I took some photos inside in the studio. I placed some white cardboard down and I photographed the bowl in front of a plain white wall. I also took some photos outside in the sun just to compare the lighting. I ended up using one of the photos I took outside because it had greater contrast and the cast shadow of the bowl was more interesting than the photos that I took inside. Before we dive into the painting demo, I want to let you know about my online watercolour classes. I have hundreds of full-length classes available and I've had the privilege of teaching tens of thousands of students worldwide. You can read their testimonials and see their amazing work on my website, linked in the description. If you're interested in learning watercolour, check out my website for more information. While you're there, you can join my email newsletter for exclusive content, practical tips, a full-length free class, and a downloadable PDF on common watercolour mistakes. I'd like to thank Lindsey, one of my patrons, who made this beautiful sign with my logo on it, and she sent it to me for my birthday. Dom put it up for me and now it sits right where I can see it whenever I'm painting. Okay, let's have a look at the painting. I started with a fairly detailed drawing. I tried to draw in as many of the reflections in the water as I could, fearing that I'd get in a mess without them. I painted some masking fluid onto the lightest areas I could see in the glass and water. And while that was drying, I mixed a grey from French ultramarine and burnt sienna. I used a large round brush to paint in the cast shadow first on wet paper. I used the grey that I mixed. I also saw some red reflected in that shadow. So before it dried, I painted some Windsor red where I saw it. I made sure the cast shadow wasn't too dark because I didn't want it to overwhelm the painting. I needed to paint 2 layers on the cast shadow, so I waited for the first layer to dry and then I re-wet it and I painted in this extra shadow within the shadow. Still using the same grey mixture that I used before. When the cast shadow was dry, I wet the front of the bowl and I painted some of the grey there. But here I've diluted it with more water so that it's not as dark as the shadow. I could see some other soft shadows within the glass surface, so I painted them on the wet paper, just using a smaller brush and varying the temperature of the grey. So where I wanted a cool colour, I mixed more of the blue in, and where I wanted a warm colour, I mixed more of the burnt sienna into the grey. I washed in the rest of the bowl in that soft grey colour, and then I started to work on the water. So here I've got some more of the grey, it's a little bit darker this time, and I'm beginning to paint in the key shapes that I could see in the water. Trying not at this stage to get lost in all the detail that's there. I used Fabriano Artistico soft press paper for this painting. I chose soft press paper because it's a little smoother than cold press, and I thought it would help when I was painting all the detail of the reflections in the water. Soft press paper is smoother than cold press paper, but it has more texture than hot press paper. It's beautiful paper to paint on, but unfortunately I don't think they are making it anymore, or if they are, I can't seem to find it here in Australia. The only problem I found with this paper is that it's harder to lift the paint. I can lift paint fairly easily from arch paper when it's both wet and dry, but I had difficulty doing that on this paper. I also found it's a bit more fragile than arch paper. So here I'm working on wet paper, painting in the large grey shapes that I can see in the glass. I'm not looking at the detailed reflections in the water yet. Here's what my painting looked like after I had painted in the initial washes, where I've looked for the key shapes on my reference photo. I'm working broad to specific. When everything was dry, it was time to turn my attention to the reflections in the water. I worked mainly wet on dry when I painted them all. I used small brushes, this is a size 0, and I followed the reference photo fairly closely to begin with. I knew that it was important to look closely at how the light interacts with the glass bowl and the water. I noticed the reflections, the refractions, and the distortions. At first, I relied heavily on the reference photo, but as I progressed, I realised the painting was coming together well, and I began to rely on it less. I was gaining confidence, so I relaxed and I let my brush flow more freely over the paper instead of painting too stiffly. Once I had the main reflections painted, I felt confident enough to add more details without constantly looking at the photo. The photo was too detailed anyway, and trying to follow it too closely often led to confusion. As I said, most of the time I painted on dry paper, but there were a few times I wet the paper to keep the paint edges soft. There were times when I was working with 2 brushes, one brush to put the paint on and the other brush to soften paint edges. I find it easier to apply light colours first, keeping the paint watery and transparent, and then once I've established everything, then I can paint darker colours to increase the value over the top of those lighter layers where I need to. So I'm not necessarily concerning myself with values at the moment. I think if I establish everything first, then I can darken the areas I need to later. Here I'm establishing the edge of the water in the bowl. I stood back and looked at it and felt that I needed to do that. It wasn't standing out enough. So I've wet the paper there and I've painted some grey along the water's edge, just pushing it up now. I could also see different colours reflected in the shapes. So here I've painted some grey and I could see some blue in the grey. So this is Windsor Blue green shade. It's bleeding with the wet paint. It was time consuming, but it was relaxing and it wasn't that difficult. I painted the glass bowl and the water reflections one day. I left it and then I came back the next day to paint the flower. And I wanted to paint the water and bowl first because I knew that would be the most difficult part. So I was quite happy with it at this stage. I felt that it was working. And this is where I left it on day 1. So as I said, the next day I came back and I painted the flower. So my tips for painting glass and water are to observe the light interactions. So pay close attention to how the light interacts with the glass and water. Notice the reflections, the refractions, and the distortions. Identify highlights and shadows. Start by identifying the larger key shapes and paint them in first. Work from broad areas to specific details and avoid rushing into the finer points too quickly. Balance structure and freedom. Use your line drawing for structure, but don't let it restrict you. While it's important for guiding your painting, overly detailed drawings, I find, can be limiting. So allow your brush to flow freely over the paper in places. Layer for depth. Begin with light colours and gradually layer the paint to build depth. And most importantly, take your time. Patience is key. Relax, enjoy the process. Remember, your painting doesn't need to be completed quickly. And here's one last tip. Capture the highlights. Either leave the paper white in the highlighted areas or use white gouache for the final touches if you need to. That's what I'm doing here. I used some masking fluid at the start for some of the highlights that I could see, but I didn't paint them all with masking fluid. So here I'm using white gouache to add a bit of sparkle to the water. And here is my completed painting, Floating Memories, painted in loving memory of my nan. Her simple tradition of floating camellias in a crystal bowl has always stayed with me, and I'm so glad to share this painting with you all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. In today's video, I'm going to share my top.
Your top?
My top. In today's video, I'm going to share my top tips and techniques. Yeah.
That was terrible.
Wasn't that terrible? Have you ever tried to capture the transparency? I don't think I smiled at the start. Before we dive into the painting demo, I want to let you know. I don't want to talk to you. I want to let you know. Okay? Is that good? Good to go?
Yeah, good to go.
Okay.